Right, good morning guys, it's the EV bloke here back with another video, and I'm trying to do a video a day, trying to set myself that goal at least up to Christmas, so we'll see how that goes. But thanks for the interactions and stuff with the other videos I've been doing. I really appreciate that. And today I'm going to give a button by button, if you like, deep dive of the infotainment system. I've done a couple of brief ones. I've done one which is actually one of my highest views on the channel, actually, funnily enough. I've done one of my the early one I did on it. Was a little bit basic though, because I didn't know that much about the system. It's also had a couple of updates since then, so I thought it'd be a good idea that if you're in view of prospectively someone about to buy this vehicle, as I think the only person in the UK that actually solely concentrates on the Atto 3, I thought it'd be really good if I do a deep dive and we go through every single thing on the infotainment system, so you'll know exactly if you go to pick a car up, or if you've got one and you want to learn more about it, this would be the video for you. So that's what we're going to do this morning. So let's get everything queued in. So we're all set up there. Everything's on, everything's set up over there. So that's all good. So let's just go over how this screen, when you start the car up, this is effectively what you get. Okay, so this is how it will appear to you. So you have navigation, Spotify if you've got an account. You can change these around, by the way. You just essentially hold them down and you can move them around, and you can bring other things up and all this kind of thing, and bring it all up into here. So it works out that way. And then over here is the radio. That's how I have mine set up. But of course, you can set it up any which way you want. Then on this second bank of buttons that you have across here, you have all this information here. So you've got heated seats, which is a new addition on the last update, as far as I know. So you basically click it once, it brings it on full. If you click it again, it takes it down to half heat, if you like, or once more to off, and it shades out into a grey colour. You've got the fan speed there, your circulation there, so you just click it if you want the airflow coming in, or if you want to recycle it, you just click it there again on there. Fan speed there, that will then bring up this screen. When it brings up this screen, you've obviously got your fan speed there, your directionals here, so if you want it on the face, or if you don't want it on feet, what I do in the morning when I get in, if I haven't preheated it, which you can do on the app, which I'll show in another video, you can basically, I take it off the feet and just probably have it coming on the top screen till it warms up, and then I start adding these in once it warms up. Otherwise it just blows cold air on your legs to start with, of course. And then at the top you've got your fan only, which is there, which will just bring you directional through there. Your recycling, you get your recycling of the air there. Now these ones are kind of interesting and fairly important as well, because on the app on this car, you don't seem to be able to demist the screens. It gives you a temperature, but I can't find anything. If anyone else knows, let me know, where you can actually, that fan speed's a bit high there. Just turn that down a minute. So these are quite important. Now you can access this one from here. So you can press it on from there when you get in. But of course you need the rear, and also if it's frosty, you need the rear, and you need your window demisters as well. And that's controlled by this one. So you just highlight it once, and that will then clear the rear screen, plus also the side mirrors. That's what that one will do. Going a bit out of focus there, sorry guys. And then this one here is the main one, the main front defogger, de-icer. So I have those on what I do is, if it's very frosty, I come out to the car and I just put those on. So I turn the car on and just put those on, which is not the most practical way to do it. Mexican aircon there, that's the aircon on and off. You can either have it on or off for conditioning. Auto, which it tends to start up on. I tend to take it off auto quite a bit, because it just blasts when you first get in, because it's trying to get it to the temperature. It tends to just sort of be a bit awkward, really, I can say, in one respect, you know. And then you've got your fan there. fan speed and everything there. There's your aircon button there. And down here is your seat heating. So if you're in this menu and you're not in this main menu where you can do it from here, you can still from this menu you can still put your heated seats on from here. You see mine's on at the moment because it's a little bit chilly. So you can control that from there if you want to do it that way. Air purification is actually don't really use it, to be honest. What it's basically for, it's for taking bad air out from the inside, and it circulates it out from the car basically. So what you would do is, if you're finding you're in a very polluted area, you could just touch that, and then what it will do is it will cut in and it will extract all the internal air out. Basically, that's what it essentially does, which of course this is a Chinese car, and I'm sure in China it's very well used with the pollution issues they have. So here, not quite so much. I mean, if you're in a big city like Birmingham, maybe, or London, you might end up using that. So, but it at least gives you a picture of that. And then down here for the settings, so you can have your auto fan on. Reducing during Bluetooth calls. So if you've got the fan speed on very high, and a call comes in and you answer the call, the speed of the fan will reduce while you're on the phone, so you don't have to shout. So internal circulation when parking. So if you're in a built-up area, just to keep a bit more of the bad fumes out, you can put that one on. I don't bother. Remote controlling of AC. So this is for which is basically for the app in one sense. So you can choose how long you want this to run for before you get into the vehicle. I actually find that 15 minutes is fine, generally speaking. And then comfort or economical, I have it on comfort. Economical will just give you lower speeds and lower temperature half the time, So that's what that one does. Let's just go back to here for a minute, because we cover everything here. So that's your directional as well. If you want to do your directional from here, you can. So that would just put it onto feet, or put it onto, touch it 3 times really. So you touch it once to cut it off from straight ahead to feet. Touch it again to have it coming on the screen, or you can touch it there and you've got full all round there. Temperature, this car is very sensitive to temperature. So in other words, essentially I find 25 is about the minimum in winter. You need that on to get any kind of good cabin heat. Probably might even be on a cold day, sort of say 27, somewhere around there. You'll probably need that. So that's how that works really. It's some cars you can get in 21 is enough to really sort of keep the car more than okay really. And then there's your heated seat there. So down here you've got these buttons here. Now this one, we'll look at it in a menu when we go into it in a minute, but this turns the screen off. So if you're driving at night and you've got the music on, you don't need the maps, you don't need anything, you can just set it to that and it will come up with a clock and the date kind of thing. And you can have this on dark or light mode, which we'll look at as well in a minute. But that's what that one does. And if you want to get rid of it, you just touch the screen again and it brings you back. So that's how that one works. The pause button is where you can split your apps. So you can actually split the apps on here. I've never really used that really. It's just like a split screen really. So, but I don't really tend to use that very much. This one is to rotate the screen. So some people have said to me, what is the point in having it this way? And the only thing I'll say about that is it's pretty good for navigation, because if you go north up on your navigation, it just gives you a better picture really of the road you're on and everything like that. It's quite handy for that. But outside of that, I would say I generally tend to keep it just in this mode here really, which is it's the party trick of the car. It does that. This one just brings you to see what apps you've been in, and this one takes you home, brings you back to that screen. So if we come over to here, if you want to get into the main screen of the functions, you press this one, and then it brings up this whole section here. where you can start changing a lot of different things. So intelligent chassis, so steering assist, comfortable or sport. I thought I had that on sport. I'm going to put that on sport now. What that does is it sharpens up the throttle response. So if you're going down a country lane and you want feedback through the steering, it gives you more of a sporty feel through the steering. So that's quite nice. So that's on sport. It just had a service because I always keep it on sport, and I think it defaults back to comfort. Comfort would just be a bit more wallowy and a bit more lack of response, really. Excuse me, which for going through town and stuff like that, that's fine. But I think for your general overall use of the vehicle, particularly my area where I live, which is a lot of country lanes and stuff like that, I tend to leave mine on sport, and it just gives you a much better feel through the steering. It does sharpen it up quite a bit too. It's quite responsive. And then for the brake assist, I leave that on sport too, a little bit more responsive on the brakes. It just gives you a slightly sportier feel in what's an SUV, really, which is not obviously designed that much for that kind of thing. So we come across here to lights. You've got all your ambient lighting here. So you can change all different aspects of how this works. So obviously we're in the daytime now, so you can't see the ambient lighting that much here. But you can basically change the colours through here. And you can also change the brightness. So if you don't like your ambient lighting too bright, you can adjust that down. It just dims it down a bit. I like mine, so I keep it on there. Whole, front or rear, so you can have it just in the rear for rear passengers, or you can have it in the front, or you can have it whole. I think most people are going to probably leave that on whole. Now down here you've got the ambient lighting, the dynamic ambient lighting, and when you put these on, essentially what happens is I don't know if you can see it from there, but they start flashing. So it gives you this kind of like a nightclub effect at night, really. I find it really off-putting. If I'm really honest, it just flashes. It's just kind of a bit irritating. So I tend to leave mine on off. Daytime running light there. I always leave that on. And you can actually adjust the brightness of that, which is interesting. But I just leave it on. We're in the UK here, so that's it. This is for headlights after exit. So when you exit the vehicle and when you lock it, obviously all the headlights stay on while you walk away from the vehicle. And again, on entry, if you unlock it with a key or whatever, you're walking up to the car and you unlock it, the headlights will come on before you enter. So that you can actually adjust how long that stays on. So you can go up to a minute actually, which is, you just don't need it. I find 10 seconds is fine for both of those, really. Not an issue there. And an intelligent greeting lighting is the lights underneath the mirrors here. So underneath the mirrors there's a light, so it just lights up the floor. It doesn't come out with any specific designs like you get on some cars. It just actually lights up the which, if you're in a dark car, if you've been out for a meal or something with your loved one and you're coming back to the car and it's in a dark car park, when you unlock the car, it lights up all the area where you're going to step in. You don't want to step into a puddle or something. So yeah, that works quite well. So that's the intelligent lighting there. So I always leave that on. Personally, it's up to you. It's your choice, but that's what I do. Now, exterior mirrors, auto fold, so you can have them to auto fold when you lock the car when you get out. Again, that's another one to just leave on. I think there's not really a lot of point in turning that off because they're handy. You don't want your wing mirrors getting clipped if you're down some side street or something. So I just leave them on. They just fold in. The aircon we've more or less gone through, so we won't worry with that. And then seat is the heating. Well, it's just the heated seats there. So that's all self-explanatory there. That's not too bad. Locks. As a new feature with the last update, you've got the password to drive. So it's up to you. It gives you another 10 seconds of messing around when you get into the vehicle because you've got to start it all up. And sometimes I forget and I go to put it in reverse to reverse away and drive off. Then it comes up password to drive. So, but of course, from a safety aspect and your car being broken into, it's a important feature. So I actually have that on, and then I have my password. And if anyone gets into this vehicle, they will not be able to drive this car off without that password. So that's a good safety feature there. Trunk opening height. So at the rear there, how high you want the boot to come up. So I just leave it on 100%. I'm quite tall, so I wouldn't want to have it lower than that. Lower, I'll just start banging my head on it. So I have that one there, and then press and hold key fob to lock and close windows. Yeah, so if you hold the lock key and you've got windows open, they will close. But also, even when you exit the vehicle, when you just close the doors and lock it, if you've got windows down or even the sunroof open or the blind open inside with the sunroof there, all those things will close automatically, so you don't have to really worry too much about that. So if you've got windows open and you exit the vehicle and you've forgotten or something, it's no problem, because you just walk away from the vehicle, lock it, and they'll all close automatically. So that's pretty easy. That's pretty okay, really. Press and hold key to unlock and open windows. Yes, you can do that. If you press and hold the unlock feature, it will actually open all windows. So on a hot day, I guess, if you want to save energy and you just want to let some air into the car before you get into it, just to let the intensity out, that's not a bad feature, I suppose. I've never actually used it, but you could actually just hold that down. It'll open up all 4 windows and allow the air to circulate a bit in here. Then auto window closing after locking. So that's the one I was telling you about. So that's what that does. So which actually counteracts these ones here, really. So that's what I do. Press and hold handle switch to lock and close windows. Press and hold handle on the door. Yeah. So I leave that one on as well. So you've covered on all sides, really, with that. Auto lock when driving. So which I do have on, you never know. So as I reverse back and go to drive off to go and do what I've got to do, once you get up to probably about 5 miles an hour, something like that, you'll hear it all centrally lock. So it locks everything. That's also good if you've got it just gives you safety, because no one can get in from outside as much as anything else. So that's quite good. Notifications, broadcast settings. So alert. So this is all the noises the car makes. They don't bother me. I mean, some people get quite bothered by them. Obviously, the Chinese cars do make a lot of noises, but I actually don't mind any of those things there, really. So that's quite fine. Vehicle parameter sound, I leave it on brand, because the other one, standard one, has this horrible whine. It's just, I don't know, I don't like it. It's sort of like a ghosty sort of sound. But the brown one sounds a bit more ice cream van like, but it is, well, it just is. It is just kind of really annoying. And that's, so you can actually play it here. Look to see the sounds. So that's the one I have. That's the low speed sound that I have on mine. Sorry, my son is trying to call me there, so I'll just cancel that. So yeah, or you can have this one. This is the one I'm not so keen on. I don't know if it's going to pick it up on the. Don't know if you can quite hear that. It just gives a very low whining noise. It's not the best, really. Speed warning, I leave that on in case I go over 75 on a motorway or something. Just a little bit of a warning there. You can set this to different things, whatever you want on that. So that's okay. So that's all that side of it. Excuse me. Right, let's go to the connectivity side of the car now. So cellular data. So I leave that on, of course, because when I connect, so my phone can connect to the car. We've also got a hotspot there. So if you've got a hotspot facility, if you've got data for that, you can do that. There's your Bluetooth as well. So you just want to enable all these. If you get into the car for the first time, you want to head to this screen and start putting all these things. I won't go into them right now, but it's essentially self-explanatory, really. So that's that. Now audio is you can have different things going on here. So I leave loudness on. I've got a customized equalizer to where I want things. So through my time of fiddling around with the car, that's what I found the best thing to do. But you do have at the top here, if you want to, you've got all the various pre sort of conditioned ones. So jazz, classical, country, pop, retro, electronic, dance, opera, rock, etc., etc. And they'll just give a slightly different sound to all of those ones. But I've customized mine to where I like it, which is probably what you probably should do if you've got yours. But yeah, so that's what that one does. And you can either turn that off, because this will give you a sort of oval sort of surround sound. I tend to leave mine on, so that's how that works. Sound field balance, don't know with this one actually. Oh yeah, just to where you want the sound to distribute. So I've got mine fairly sort of central really, but if you wanted to have it more rear biased, you could put this down here, so it come more from the back to the front. But I just find leaving it roughly in the middle is about right really for it. So that's that one. That's what that does. Media volume, and phone volume, voice volume. So that's the BYD Assistant. And then that is for the maps and stuff like that, broadcast volume. So that's the sort of volume to have your maps at. I tend to have mine virtually off most of the time. I find it annoying. That's the media volume, which is right down at the moment because I don't want any music playing so I don't get a copyright strike, of which I've had a couple already. This is all about learning about YouTube, of course. So that's that page there. Now let's go to display. So the center screen brightness, I just tend to have that quite light. It's up to you, but you can actually change that if you want to. Then for the screensaver, the one for this one, you can actually change those via here. So you can have different clocks on here. So you can have a digital one, or there's two different types of clocks that's basically built in. So you just choose what you want on that. Adaptive brightness, so it'll change according to the light scenario. I've got this in light mode at the moment, which I've been finding works a little better for me, funnily enough. But there is, of course, a dark mode, which will darken everything up. And that looks quite good as well, of course. So, but I've been leaving mine, or you can leave it on auto, and it will react to the light as to whether it gives you dark or light mode. That could actually be quite a good setting to leave it on auto, really, I guess. So yeah, so that's that one. This is where you get all your updates and everything. So your software updates will appear here. If you get a software update come over, when you start up the car, it will actually come up on the screen, software update. But this is the screen you go to update that. So it always says upgrade there, as if there's something you can actually do, but it never is. That's just basic details about the model, about the software update you're on. So it gives you all the details there, which never ever seems to tally up with the version that they send to you, which I can't quite work out. But that's that one. And then you've got factory resettings. I don't want to press any of those. Otherwise I shall probably cancel half the stuff I've got here. Apps is just basically all the apps that's on here, essentially, which are all basically factory. I haven't put anything on here really. All these things come from the car themselves, so it just gives you a bit of what you're using there data wise. So that's that one. Storage, again, it'll show you how much storage you're using. You've got a clear cache button as well, which probably could be quite good. So that's that one. Security, display security. Not been into this one before, I don't think. Display security. Credentials storage, clear credentials. I think I'm going to leave that one alone. Doesn't sound like one you really need to go to too much. Disable auto start. I just leave all of that alone where it comes to that sort of stuff. And then you've got notifications on here. So you can turn these on and off as you see fit. But I would just leave them as they are again, really. So that's those ones. Now, At the top here, if we go to more, we get some other screens come up. Now this is relating to, I have mine on 24-hour format. I think that works the best. The time zone is set up for the UK, so obviously in whatever country you're in, you'll have to set that one up for your own one, and then when the time zones change, it does it all automatically. So languages, obviously English for me here. I do get a lot of viewers in Singapore, Asia, and India, and Australia. They're some of my biggest supporters on my channel, actually, which is interesting. I don't know how much they understand what I'm saying, but I hope they can do. What's this, units now? Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's for your miles or your kilometers. Obviously, in the UK, we use miles, so I'd rather have that one. And then you've got your kilowatt hours and your HP there. Centigrade, we use centigrade in the UK more than we do Fahrenheit, so I leave it on centigrade, and I leave it on PSI because that for the tire pressures, that's the one we generally use when we put into places to put air in that in our tires. It comes up with that, so I leave it on that setting. So that's that one. What else have we got here? So that's the units, right? So memory playback, I just leave that. User agreement, just all agreement declarations and all these kinds of things. When you first get the car, you just go in, and when you get the update, you just agree to all these things anyway. So you don't really need to go into those too much. So that's it. Languages, 24-hour thing. Yep, so that's all right. It's an Android keypad really layout. So if you're used to Android phones, that's what it is. Right, so let's come down here now, excuse me, to ADAS. So here we've got all your different things for your lane support system. Okay, so warning, lane departure. So you can either have prevention or warning. So prevention, I don't advise you to put it on that. Reason being is you're coming up to a bend, and it feels like you're going to go off the lane, and but you're basically not, of course, because you're controlling the car around, but it's somehow, and it just jerks you. And if you're already in the lane, it can jerk you right over to the left. It's a little bit dangerous, that one, I think. Obviously, if you've fallen asleep or something, then I mean, it's going to be exactly what you do need. But I just find a little warning bleep is okay, or you can actually turn it right off. But if you're going to turn it off, you've got to do it every single time you get into the vehicle. So you've got to be aware of that, because that's what you have to do every single time. So so that's that one. And then down here, alert sound. So I've got it on sound. You can have vibration, but again, it jerks through the wheel a little bit off-putting. So I just put up with the sound really. So that's what I've got for those ones set up. Traffic sign recognition, intelligent speed control limits. I've got that turned off. Otherwise, it's going to keep on. If you go slightly over the speed, even by a few miles an hour, it's going to just keep on going off. I think we're intelligent enough to know when we're going along with our maps on and stuff to look at what speeds we're doing anyway. You soon get to know whether we're over or not. And speed limit information, I do leave that on. I mean, it doesn't really go off because unless you're really speeding, you're not going to really get affected by that too much anyway. Then high beam assist, I always leave that on. It's brilliant on this car, I think. It's one of the best things on it because when you're driving at night, I mean, there's a lot of country lanes around here. Before you even get round a bend, if there's a car coming the other way, it'll just straight away dip. On a previous car I had, it would keep dipping and turning on and turning off the high beam as if I was flashing someone, so it was really off-putting to oncoming cars. But this one is really brilliant. It works every time. I've never had a fail yet anyway, where it doesn't dip in time before you get into the eye line of the oncoming vehicle at night. So that's pretty good. Energy, regenerative braking. Well, I've done videos on the regenerative braking, and I've always said it's not enough. I would like to see one pedal driving in here. Even when it's set on high, it's actually very low. The feedback I've had from BYD about that is good, because a lot of people will transition from petrol and diesel over to this vehicle because people are not used to regenerative braking. They didn't want to have the settings too high. Well, my argument to that is give me the settings. Give me the settings. Give me the high regenerative braking. Maybe some flappy paddles at the back here that you would get on a Hyundai or loads of cars do that now. We're just some different settings in here to have it on one pedal or medium or low or high or whatever. To just have it on high and standard. Standard is as if it's nothing, and high is just a bit. So if you're going at 50 miles an hour and you take your foot off, you'll feel it starting to pull you back and starting to brake, but it's not very good. It's not one pedal, so you've just got to keep going onto the brake all the time. Range mode, standard or dynamic. So I've got mine in dynamic. I probably want to have that on standard, really. I don't know. That might affect how the energy is used in the vehicle, essentially, you know. So if you want a bit more performance out of it, you probably need it on dynamic. Vehicle. Okay, so we've got steering. We went over this before, the steering side of it. So this is to just sharpen up the response of the vehicle in terms of its braking. So to give it a more sporty feel, I leave it on that because I like that feel anyway. And so that's that. And then down here, service. It's just had a service. So so that's it. Then it gives you the mileage you need to come in to have another one. But that's general settings. On the way my system, mine one works is sort of like annually, really. Now up here, excuse me. Sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat this morning. I don't know if I'm coming down with something. You've got an overhaul. Now this is quite interesting because over here you've got the front wiper check. So basically, when you're cleaning the car, where the wipers are at the moment, they're right down in the grill, in the grate at the front, so you can't actually see them, and you can't lift them up. They've got nowhere to go. But if you press this button here, the wipers go up into that position. You can now lift them up and clean underneath them, and you can also get down in the well down there to actually clear all the leaves out and whatever you got down there, and then you can just come back and turn that back off, and it defaults back to its normal position. So that's quite a good thing as well. That's pretty good. Vehicle information doesn't do anything. It always says check complete, all good. So that's that one. So there we are. So I think we've gone over most of the settings there. So let's go now into the next things that we need to look at, which is over here. So you've got BYD Assistant here, so you can select languages in here, all this kind of thing. You can set all these things, wake word and all of this kind of thing, audio zone settings, wake up, free, continuous dialogue. Then you've got the language down here, languages, so you can select a language relevant to your. I actually have it on. My wife is Portuguese, so sometimes she will put that on, so she will get it actually speaking in Portuguese, funnily enough. But you've got all these different, quite a few countries there now: Mandarin, French, Cantonese, Spanish, and they're just new ones come each time they do updates. Really get more and more and more each time. So that's it. That's the voice languages. Then you've got some disclaimers there, which when you do an update, they come through anyway. And that's just you can turn that on and off for the voice assistant. So wake word. Let's have a look at this. So user defined wake word. Commonly used words, repetitive or similar words, e.g. Papa. And let's just put Sean in there, shall we? We'll just put Sean in there. Okay. Auto zones. Enable and disable the voice permissions of the zone. Only respond to command in the located audio. So that's just where you can do it from the different places within the vehicle where you want those audio zones to go. So I just leave it on as it is, really. So that's that. And then so that's all that menu there, really. So let's come out of there. To come out of these things, you want to just swipe. Oh, I've messed with that. Swipe back out. There's your phone settings there. So you've got your phone settings here. You've got dial, contacts, recent ones, missed calls, etc., etc., etc. That's all up there, so you can just deal with that as normal. And you've also got this button on here, the phone button, so you can press from there if you're driving, and then it will come up with the list over there, and you can just click the one you want. Especially if you're mostly calling people that you call regularly, they'll be on that screen anyway, probably. So Then we've got radio here, so it's an AM and FM one. I've never used it because I use the main one, which I'll show you in a minute. So I don't really actually go on that one. And then you've got music here, so you've got your Bluetooth, you've got local. Let's see if you've got a little SD card which goes down there, goes underneath there. There's a little place that I can show you right now, or the USB. Now the USB, which fits in down here. Hopefully you can see that. You can take that out and obviously take music from your computer if you've got music, and you can load it all up and put it on here. That can be quite handy if you're going through areas where there's not a lot of very good connection, so you keep losing your data sort of thing, and so the radio keeps cutting on and off, whether tune-in radio or Spotify or whatever. If it's playing through your phone, you're going through areas like typically around here where it's very hilly, you can get so it's nice to download a load of stuff on there to have that continuous music going when you're on a road trip and things like that. And you can put quite a lot on there. I don't know if you know the space of it, but it's there's a lot on there already. Video. You can basically download videos and play them on here. They tend to be a bit erratic, I find. I did do one video once, but it didn't come out very well. And then we're back to the audio, which we showed you earlier, where you can change all the equalizers and all that kind of stuff. That works out quite well. Not a problem. Okay, so that was radio, wasn't it? Music. Oh yeah, we've been into that. We've done that one. Then you got, of course, got your navigation. Now let's go over the navigation while we're from here, because there's been changes to this anyway. So over here, you've got these buttons here. Oh, by the way, if you use 3 fingers, you can alternate your temperature inside the cab. So if you're driving, you just want a quick thing, 3 fingers that way, or 3 fingers that way will give you the change of speed as well. So that works out quite well as well. This one here will give you local charging stations that are around near you. So if you're looking for a charging station, you've driven somewhere and you're looking for something, then you just literally, it will give you the ones that's local in the area. So and it will navigate you to those. And it's actually been pretty good in terms of updating on here, I found, which is interesting. So if there's none available or couple not being used already, it does actually seem to intelligently know that, which is quite good. That's that. And then down here it gives you your projected range, so it kind of gives you a map. It's calculating at the moment, but it gives you a map and it will show you how far the area you've got for the battery you've got. So I've got 150 miles worth of range left, so it's giving me a sort of 150 mile an hour radius. You're not going to get that really, but so I can go beyond Birmingham as example. So it just gives you a bit of an idea on that one. Come over here to settings. So you can adjust all your settings here. So you can avoid routes. So if you want to not go through toll roads and things like that, you can press on there. I leave mine on all traffic, actually. The voice assistant, if you don't like a voice on yours, you can turn that off. You can mute it, or you can just leave it on, whatever. The different head-ups displays, you got 2D north up, or heading up. Probably want that north up. I guess north up, yeah. Avoidance route, so we said about that. Now on the show on map, so on this map here, it will show you different things. So recent places you visited. So if you want to navigate to somewhere, those recent ones will come up in case you want to just click one of them to save you punching in the postcode and all the rest of it again. Saved places, EV chargers, you want that on. Food, coffee, parking, I leave those on. I leave most of these on, really, because if I go out on a road trip or anywhere, I like to have all this stuff on, really, if I can, even down to ATMs and rest areas and everything. So, excuse me, select what you want there. Right, routing and map preferences. This is quite an important one. So display speed limit, auto zoom, so it will just automatically go in and out as you come to junctions and stuff like that. There's another little symbol comes up here to give you which lane to get in and all that kind of thing. Ask before rerouting. I don't know if I've got that on. Ask before rerouting, yeah, because it's not the best for this map system as I've gone over before. 3D mark land routes, and what else have we got there? Fastest route, so you can select different ones, fastest or the most economically friendly, whatever. Most people can go fastest route. And then voice guidance volume. Blimey, that's on 10. Oh, which is quite low on here. Wow. Okay. So, but that's it. That's that one, really. That explains that one. What else have we got? Alert preferences. So, traffic alerts. It will come up with alerts of, like if you're in a traffic area, it will actually come up congestion ahead, or, it says all that sort of thing. Then you've got your history here, if you want to clear that out. Or you can reset the navigation to factory settings. This will erase all. Well, we don't want to really do that. You can do that. Now, EV preferences, is that the one? So automatically add to charging stations. I've done a video about this before. Let me just come in a little bit. It's a bit far out there, guys. Automatically add charging stations. So basically, if you're going on a route that's outside of your range, this will add in the charging stations. But what I found out with, it's not very intuitive in the fact that it will tell you you're getting in at a certain percentage, but if it's windy or if you've got elevation and all of them kind of things, it doesn't actually alter that much. So it's not, it's hardly any point telling you you're going to get in with 8%, but it doesn't actually change from that 8%, and you end up getting in there with 1%, if you know what I mean. So it's not very intuitive. It still needs a lot of work, this mapping system. I've said that. And I've also given my opinions on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, that they're fine and brilliant and fantastic. They have great mapping systems. But what about when you're in areas where the things keep cutting off? Not only does your music keep cutting off and all of those aspects, but you want to try and get these to a standard where you can use these. This is the best one there should be in your car. The reason being is that it's built into the car. It's built into the car. The BMS is connected with the BMS in the car. And so all this is doing is actually giving you a better experience if the two are linked together. That's all you need. Two to be linked together so they know what each other's doing. Like you get on a lot of modern day cars now. Tesla have been doing that for years. So it's not new technology or something. And you want to be able to use this, So in every car review I hear, they say, it doesn't matter about that because you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Well, it actually does matter about that because this is built into the car. And if this one can intuitively do it, then you don't need those other ones. This will just map you in like a Tesla does. Or some other ones as well. Okay, so we've been over that as well. So let's come out to there now then. We've done navigation. Then there's Spotify, if you've got an account. Android Auto, which is what I have. If it's going to work, I don't know. Should do. Apple CarPlay as well. So you can use either of those, but as I've just said, it'd be nice if everything else worked perfectly. That's a bit slow, wasn't it? So that just comes up with the setup there, and so you just go into maps there if you want to use that maps. Media center is a bit similar to the other one I showed you on the radio. Really, it's just got the different things down here. So you've got audio, change all that, which we've gone into. So all of that sort of stuff. Now here's one, vehicle image. So that's your cameras. So you can have a look at, and you can go into settings here and you can have a look at everything. Adaptive on steering, transparent body view, all that kind of thing. Put that on, actually. Put those on and see what they look like. I don't know if that makes a lot of difference or not. Just gives you a bit of a better picture that way, I guess. But the maps are not bad on here. You've got a 3D as well, so it'll give you your car, and you can move that around. Look, it'll give your car. It gives your car a sort of 3D-ish look, which is quite nice. Yeah, so that's the vehicle image. Now we've got themes here, which is for the infotainment system. So you can change to different colours or different setups for the vehicle. So I can apply that one as example, and then it'll give me a different feature here, you know. And also in there, you've also got wallpapers. So there's a few wallpapers, not many. I had a nice sort of a nice landscapes theme one on here, which was quite nice. And they got rid of that. I don't know why. These are a bit bland, really. But they just go to the background and just alter that a little bit. So, like as you say, you've got this here now, it's set up, and that's basically all that does. So, so that's that. Then we've got the radio here. Let's just quickly have a look at that. It's fairly self-explanatory. So you come into a thing like that, and that's heated seats getting hot now. Let's turn that off. There we go. Getting quite warm in here now. So you just click on there and you can choose from all these stations, even these ones that are blued out, that are blue and don't have the logos on them. They tend to all still work fairly well. I won't put the volume up now because otherwise I shall get a copyright strike. But as you can see, it's come up there. But there's all your common stations, TalkSport, LBC, I listen to quite a bit. And then you've got your music ones here. For a lot of the music stuff, I'd rather go and choose my own music, either via the USB stick or by Spotify, really. What I tend to do. I don't listen to a lot of music radio. But yeah, you've got all the standard channels there. TalkSport 2, sometimes there's live football on there, so I go on there and listen to that when I'm going along. But yeah, it works pretty well. On the previous update, I did lose a lot of these, but on the last update that I've just done a couple of weeks back there, all the stations came back for me anyway. So that worked out quite well. So, but that's it. So that is really, I don't think we've got anything here. Utility tools is just file managers and stuff like that. You don't really need that. Where's the, yeah. So on this one here, you've got the, I suppose that's where you can download photos and stuff from your phone or from a computer, and that they'll come up on here, I guess. So you can probably have them as screensavers. Something to look into, actually. I might see if I can do a video on that one day and see what we can get on there. That's quite interesting. Settings, well, that goes back to all of what we've been through. Smart charging. So this is for if you have a home charger, which I actually don't, you can set this for a start time and an end time and how many days you want to do it and all that kind of thing. So let's turn it on actually. Okay, so you'd come into here. I don't have a home charger, so I don't use this. So you can have it every day. You can custom it, change times and everything and set all that up. So if you've got a tariff, which is cheap overnight charging, you can come in here and you can set it for the days you want it to come. So if you work Monday to Friday, you could have it on, you could custom it, do it Monday to Friday, how much percentage you want it to charge to and the time. And so the car would just come on at that time to charge it for that period. It's basically how that works. So yeah, that's quite good. That's an important one, really, you could argue. That's the radio again. Browser, I don't really use, I'll be honest. It always says connect to Wi-Fi and stuff. I don't really know exactly how to get that on, if I'm really honest. It doesn't seem to work through thing either. Since the last stuff, it doesn't work very well. That would be quite handy if you're at a charger, because you could probably put in YouTube and stuff like that, because those sort of visual apps are not built into this car at the moment. There's your manual. So you don't have a manual in the glove box in this car. It's all done from this. So you can go into here, and basically you can just scroll through, and you can see all what, basically you can see whatever you need to find out about the car, really. I guess through pressing search, probably punching keywords, and then it will come up. So that's that one there. I don't really use it. BYD Store. This is the one which could do with a lot of development, because you've got this here. You might as well use it. At the moment, you've just got the browser, the karaoke, and you've got Amazon Music, which I don't have. I have Spotify, so I don't even use that. I've not even downloaded it. Look, and then there's your manual there. There's an update on the manual as well. But you could do with YouTube in here, Prime, all of the visual ones. So when you're at chargers and you want to watch a mini series or something, because when you go to put it in reverse or drive off, that'll all cut off anyway. You've got no issues with safety or anything like that. People driving along watching films. I've seen people lately. I've been seeing a lot of people watching films on their phones or programs on their phones. I've been behind people and thinking, what? They're sort of like watching. I think that's not safe, But of course, you can just do that on a phone. Just connect it up through your data and play it. So people want to break the laws that way, they can. This is all about giving you more options. So put Netflix, Prime, all those things which we're probably subscribed to already, so we can just connect to our. So we can download the app on here, connect up to it, and it gives us something to watch when we're at chargers. And you're going to be longer at chargers with this car than most, if I'm really, really honest, because it's got a 60 kilowatt hour battery with a 89 kilowatt maximum charging speed, which is pretty slow, as I've said many a time. In winter, you're looking at over an hour, essentially, from low charge up to 80% or so, or certainly 100, which you want to do on this car at least once a week. Charge this up to 100, because it calibrates and it's able to take a full charge as well. So it's not something you want to be doing every single day, but once a week is enough. So for those of you that home charge, once a week, put your car on to 100% and charge it all the way, So that's that. And then that's just the karaoke, which I did a video yesterday a bit about that. It's quite good, actually. So you can have a good old sing-song while you're at a charger if you want. You can buy a mic if you're really into your karaoke. And you can set it up with passenger as well and all this sort of thing. It's quite interesting, if you like that sort of thing, that is. And that's it, guys. That is basically a complete button-by-button view of the Atto 3. Oh, just one more thing. You've got a pull-down menu here as well. So if you pull down, you get some quick access to some things like the center screen instrument, a defroster, all of those things. So if you want to get quick access to them without going into loads of menus, you can quickly pull down. Once you get to know where these are, you can also use those as well. So that's quite good as well. It just stays on for a few seconds and then it defaults back. So there we are, guys. That is a full rundown of the infotainment system on the BYD Atto 3. And I hope this has been useful for you. Catch you on the next one.